I spent hours digging through the URA Master Plan 2025, and I think there's a real goldmine here that nobody seems to notice yet. Hi everyone, my name is William from Own This Property, and a happy new year to you. For the past 2 weeks, I've been working tirelessly to create this guide that will cover all the new launches happening in 2026. This is kind of like our yearly tradition here at Own This Property, also my Oling Meeting, where I'll give you my unbiased, unfiltered pros and cons, what I like and don't like about all the new launches happening in 2026. This is part 2 of the Ultimate Guide to New Launches 2026 edition. And because there are so many new launches out there, in part 1 of the series, I've covered all the new launches slated to happen from the beginning of the year until the third quarter of 2026. So in this video, which is part 2, I'll be covering the rest of the new launches expected to happen till the end of this year, and some of them might also trickle into 2027. For each project, I will be going through my tiered ranking structure looking at the 4 key factors. You have the quality factors, the location factors, upside potential factors, and finally the exit strategy. This will be seen and analyzed based on things that we know so far, notwithstanding the price, because usually the prices are only released closer to the launch date. Taking all these factors into consideration, I'll then derive a rank from S being the best to C being the worst. Talking about prices, because we don't know the exact number yet, this chart is based on my own estimates and my best estimated guess. So if you like a copy of the Ultimate Guide to New Launches as well as these price estimates, you can fill up the Google form link below and I'll be happy to send the PDF to you. As you can see, this is my current DIY setup. I do everything myself, from the lighting to the filming to the editing. So in order to motivate me to continue racking my brains and coming up with truly insightful content, I will really appreciate your help. My goal in 2026 is to grow the Own This Property channel, but right now over 87% of the viewers are not yet subscribed. If you found any value in the content I've created so far, could you please do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button. It will help me more than you can imagine. 2026 is certainly the year of EC. In part 1, we have already covered 2 ECs, and in this video, we have even more. So starting off with Woodlands Drive 17 EC, this is slated to preview around the 4th quarter this year. Now on paper, you have the reputable developer, a good size development, and this is an EC that has that rare attribute of walking distance to the MRT. Now there are actually 2 EC plots over there, and the other plot has just been awarded to Simlian at the highest ever land cost for an EC. So based on the CDL plot, I think prices are expected to be about $1,750 per square feet. So this other plot by Simlian likely will launch in the tail end of 2027. This will likely be above $1,800 per square feet. And of course, Woodlands South will benefit from the long-term transformation happening at Woodlands Regional Centre. While there are no top schools, there are still good, decent options. So all in all, I think that this is a good EC you can get if you want to live in the north, and I give it an A+ rank. Moving on to another EC plot, and we are moving to the west. This is at Senja Close. Also developed by CDL, there's going to be 295 units, which is actually considered small for an EC. I still think that there's going to be some pent-up demand for this plot just because there hasn't been an EC in the Bukit Panjang area for the longest of time, not less a new condo actually. So the exit strategy I think still seems pretty safe due to the lack of competition. There are some negatives, of course. There's no MRT, no good schools, so I rate it a B rank. And another EC in the north is at Sembawang Road, a lesser known developer now, but they have been present in the north too. They had done projects like Signature at Yishun and Sky Park Residences in Sembawang. So this JBE Holdings, they also recently did the Commodore at Canberra. I've been to the actual site, the actual units, the quality, the finishings are actually pretty good. But what I really don't like about this plot is that the size is even smaller than the Senja plot. There's only 265 units. Which kind of works against the whole idea or the benefit of buying an EC, right? ECs are generally, 400-500 units at least. You get that transaction volume, but unfortunately, this is going to be a pretty small development that might not be full facilities as well. So in the Canberra area, I think that there's still going to be better resale options that you can choose from closer to the MRT. So unfortunately, even though this is an EC, I rate it not the best. It's going to get a C+. And sticking to the north, we'll be getting an integrated development at Chencharu Close. Now, this will be developed by Evia, Gamuda and Holy, and it is 350 meters to Kati MRT. So while this plot is termed as integrated, unfortunately, it is not directly linked to a MRT. Instead, it will be integrated to a bus interchange. And there's also 13,000 square meters of commercial space as well as a hawker center. So that is still a fairly good size. Now, Chencharu and Yishun will offer around 10,000 new homes by 2040, of which at least 80% will be set aside for public housing. So the transformation here is massive, and I think this being the integrated and only new condo in the area would definitely stand to benefit from it. And because these BTOs also do not belong to your prime or plus scheme, the exit strategy is also going to be shorter should you buy a condo and potentially flip it, sell it to the HDB upgraders once their MOP is up in 5 years. It ticks many of the boxes we want, but the score is not perfect due to the lack of school, so I give it an A+ rank. And sticking to the same area and also an OCR property with an MRT, you realize that seems to be the trend this year. This is going to be at the Upper Thomson Road Parcel A. Where's this plot going to be is actually directly next to Springleaf Residences, which by now is already 96% sold. So this land was actually sold more expensive by about $100 because Springleaf was sold for $904 per square feet. And the break-even is also quite a fair higher, $2,086 per square feet for this new plot versus Springleaf was only about $1,688 per square feet. This plot will also share a lot of the pros and cons of Springleaf. The MRT of course is next door, you also get nature at your doorstep. These are the huge draws for the own-stay buyers, but of course there's still going to be a lack of primary school over here. Now, on the URA master plan, we've also covered in the previous videos, there's going to be massive plots of land that's going to be slated for residential transformation between the Lentor MRT as well as the Springleaf MRT. So it remains to be seen when this transformation will actually happen. It might take a while. So for this plot, I rate it a B for now. Swinging over to the east, we arrive at Bedok Rise, which is directly next to Tanah Merah MRT. This is a 380 unit development, likely to preview around the end of this year, and for buyers looking for that 1 km to the popular Temasek Primary School, this is definitely one you should be looking at. This is also the most popular government land sales in 2025 with a total of 10 bids. All Green won the bid and they just got it about 0.45% higher than the second bid. So this probably means it's a good thing, right? But check out the price. $1,330 per square feet for Tanah Merah versus, remember, Bayshore, which we covered in part 1 of this series, $1,388 per square feet, just a $50 per square feet difference. So suddenly, don't you think that Bayshore is once again cheap? Having said that, notwithstanding the price again, on paper this is a good development, albeit it is still a smaller size plot. I have to minus points as well because there's going to be some competition in the area, so I rate it a B+. Our final condo in the OCR, again keeping to the same theme, you got MRT. This time is an integrated mega development, maybe launching end of the year, but probably closer to the first quarter of 2027. This is Hougang Central. Now I need to disclose first that I might be a little bit biased when it comes to this plot because I used to grow up pretty close here, and back then when I was still in school, I was also at the badminton hall for trainings every weekend. This is a large size development, 835 units and developed by your reputable UOL and Capital Land. It will boast a huge shopping mall. This is 40,000 square meters, almost the same size as City Square Mall. So this mall, such a huge size, definitely you get a good manager, and the good news is that Capital Land will be the one to develop and eventually own it. Being an integrated development, it will be linked directly to Hougang MRT, which will be the future Cross Island Line interchange, and this is going to be completed around 2030 along with the bus interchange. So these locations, it has all the amenities that you want. You have 1 km top schools and definitely a very strong pool of HDB upgraders. And if you look at what are the options available to you today, apart from Midtown Condo, which arguably does not have the best attributes, I think that this Hougang Central plot will really stand out, not only now but also in the future. There's also going to be some long-term potential coming from the nearby Turfu, which is also part of that Paya Lebar Air Base transformation phase 1. So lots of positives over here, and I think that Hougang Centrals deserve the S rank. Moving on to the RCR launches at the end of the year, this is at the Telok Blangah, which will also kickstart the Greater Southern Waterfront transformation. This is a huge development, 740 units developed by Kingsford, and you are walking distance to the MRT, but however, there's no top primary schools within 1 km in the area. This plot also forms that brand new Belaya estate, which is a massive transformation for the Keppel Club area and will yield approximately 10,000 new homes, of which 7,000 will be HDBs and 3,000 would be private housing. This Telok Blangah plot will definitely be the first mover in this area, but it might also be a double-edged sword. You might be too early because there's not a lot of amenities nearby in this area. And in terms of HDB upgraders, you can't really count on them because the Belaya Estate HDBs, this belong to the PLH scheme. So they have a 10-year holding period and they also have that subsidy clawback. All in all, I think there are some minor negatives over here, but certainly this is a highly desirable place to live in. I expect the organic demand to be very strong and I rate it an A+. The Greater Southern Waterfront story has been repeated constantly, and recently I actually met a YouTube viewer who reached out to me getting my consult on whether he should actually sell his condo that he bought back in 2019, also selling this Greater Southern Waterfront story. I don't want to reveal the condo name. And ultimately, it's not that the condo is actually bad, but his expectations, or rather the whole plan when he actually entered and pulled the trigger, did not match up to the exit strategy. Because back then in 2019, you would have known, and I have also advised all my clients that, hey, you want to buy Greater Southern Waterfront. Back then in 2019, the first time you'll probably see something built completed is only in 2030. And lo and behold, you have this Telok Blangah plot launching now, completed in 2030. When it comes to myself, I'll look at the data, crunch the numbers, and if the math just doesn't add up, I'll also tell it to you straight up that, hey, this might not be the property for you. So if you like what you see and think that this is a working style that suits you, you can reach out to me on WhatsApp. Let us sit down together for a consult. Let me understand your specific needs and wants because everybody's situation is different, and then I'll be happy to share more with you. Staying in the RCR, we then have Dorset Road, and it sticks to the theme of all the RCR new launches in 2026 having the MRT nearby. This is about 200 meters to Farrer Park MRT. And this is going to be developed by UOL, Singapore Land and King Leong. So reputable developers, 430 units. It does tick all the quality boxes that we want, such as having the amenities, the malls, as well as schools. We have the reputable Hong Wen, as well as SJI Junior over here. Now, potentially, there's going to be more government land sales nearby, and there might be also a huge pool of future upgraders coming from your cash-rich BTOs at Boon Keng cluster. So probably I do need to go on the ground to recce the site a bit more because at least on paper or from what I can see on the map, the road might be a bit congested and the development is also flanked and surrounded by quite a few boutique developments. So for now, I rate it an A rank. Finally, let's move on to the CCR, and this particular plot might not be somewhere you're familiar with. This is called Holland Link, and it's a relatively small mid-sized plot, about 230 units, developed by Simlian, who won the bid at $1,432 per square feet. So for context, this is more expensive than Dunnan Road. Dunnan Road was a plot that we covered in the series part 1, and Dunnan Road sold for $1,410 per square feet. So is Holland Link considered expensive? I spent hours digging through the URA Master Plan 2025, and I think there's a real goldmine here that nobody seems to notice yet. There is a huge forest spanning from King Albert Park to Pandan Valley, and that's also where you'll see recent new launches like Nava Grove and Pine Tree Hill. All this land will become future residential properties. And specifically in Holland Link, if you zoom in, you realize that there's actually at least 6 other plots. And they're already been carved up and it forms a very nice enclave. You have GCV views and there's also a park connector of sorts linking you to King Albert Park MRT. So don't forget that right now King Albert Park is about 900 meters away on paper, but going forward, come 2030 when the Cross Island Line interchange is up, the distance will be cut short to just 60 meters. And of course, another key draw is that we are 1 km to the popular Methodist Girls' School. Ultimately, this is still a low-density area. The buyers that you attract are generally a more niche group of buyers, maybe a bit more affluent. So while there's some cons, for now I'll still rate it a B, and it remains to be seen, how this whole transformation would pan out. But I do think that this is one of those dark horses of 2026. And finally, to our last project in the Ultimate Guide to New Launches, this is a plot called Bukit Timah Road, but it's actually next to Newton MRT. So HH Investment is the developer that won the bid, but it is a relatively unknown name. What I can find online is that it's a Singapore subsidiary of a Taiwanese developer. It has developed a property in Singapore before called Balmoral Place, but it is a 28-unit boutique development. So it remains to be seen whether the developer is able to pull off a bigger project of this scale, especially so when this particular plot is kind of like the centerpiece of the whole Newton area rejuvenation. This new Newton neighborhood will have about 5,000 new private homes being built to rejuvenate the area, and it also includes improving some of the public spaces. For example, there's going to be a new village square, there's going to be a refurbished Newton Food Centre, and then stretching all the way towards Monks Hill, there will be a green corridor that will link Newton MRT to the Emerald Hill. So it ticks so many boxes, it's such a desirable place to live in. You have schools, connectivity, and potentially also a low entry quantum into an area. What I really like about Newton also is because amongst the CCR region is one of those locations that still does very, very well in the resale market. However, the land bleed admittedly is a little high, and the developer also lacks a proven track record in Singapore. So for now, I do have my reservations and I rank it a B+. And with that, we have finally completed all 25 new launches in 2026. Thank you for sticking with me to the end of my ultimate guide to new launches. And I think that in 2026, there will be some major blockbuster hits, but there will also be some misses. So as with all analysis, this is just more of an initial analysis. Ultimately, a development, whether it has a lot of good attributes, it will still depend on your entry price as well as your exit strategy. So if you'd like to receive a copy of the Ultimate Guide to New Launches 2026 edition and also include my price estimate charts over here, you can fill up the Google form link below, or you can also contact me on WhatsApp and I'll be happy to share it with you. Thank you so much for staying to the end. I wish you a happy new year and I'll see you in the next video.